Good afternoon and welcome, and thank you for joining us for this exclusive walk-around of the new Hyundai IONIQ 5, specifically for you, our valued fleet partners. My name is Tim White, and I'm the National Fleet Sales Manager for Hyundai Motor UK. Now, by joining this live virtual event, you're basically entering the inside track to the car that here at Hyundai we are the most excited about. Now, this car is a very important vehicle for us in the true fleet arena. And we have high expectations for this vehicle of being a strong contender and challenger in the very busy and competitive company car user-chooser space. Now, why are we so excited? Well, there are very many reasons, but we'll come on to those shortly when I hand over to our presenters, Sylvie and James. Now, we all know that in the UK, the internal combustion engine vehicle is still a very important vehicle in this market. But the automotive world is changing irreversibly. And the electric vehicle market in the UK is growing rapidly across all segments. Just as an example, in 2020, despite the pandemic, we saw the electric vehicle market grow 3 times that of 2019's volume. Now, a large portion of that growth came from you, our fleet partners, where we saw lots of activity with company car policies being moved to EV only and the introduction of salary sacrifice schemes, where again, an electric vehicle and zero emissions is of a high interest to an employee. Now, by 2030, the government have set a clear mandate that us as a manufacturer cannot produce vehicles without them being zero emissions. Now, that date is no longer that far away. And it's not far away for us at Hyundai, because progress for humanity is in our DNA. And that's why this year we're launching our IONIQ sub-brand for all of our future new battery electric vehicles. Now, the first vehicle to come under this umbrella is, of course, the IONIQ 5. Now, this is a car packed not only with Hyundai firsts, but we believe industry firsts. It's the first vehicle in the Hyundai range to be offered uniquely as a battery electric vehicle only, or BEV only model. And it's also our first electric car on our new dedicated electric global module platform, or as we know it, EGMP. We also simply think the car looks fantastic. Now, many of you will have experienced our products thus far, with the award-winning Kona and IONIQ Electric already present on fleets. These vehicles have been hugely successful and popular with company car drivers and fleet decision makers alike. People who've been looking to add electric vehicles that come with a high specification, class-leading battery range, and competitive whole life costs have not been unimpressed. Now, the IONIQ 5 takes Hyundai as a fleet brand into further new territory, with this car's design and technology set to appeal to a whole new audience. We believe this will appeal to new drivers who perhaps have not considered our products previously. So, enough from me. Here's how the session's going to work. Over the next 20 minutes, you'll hear why we believe this car is something very, very special. And then we'll go on to answer your questions throughout the session. You can submit questions through the Q&A chat functionality on this meeting. Now, we'll get through as many of those questions as possible, and any we can't, we'll send through a written Q&A later this week to your registered email address. As agreed in the terms and conditions, we would also ask that you do not record or broadcast this event, but it will be made available to you on our Hyundai website and also on our Hyundai YouTube channel. Hopefully then you can rewatch at your time and share wider with other colleagues and customers. So, without any further ado, let's get started. I'm delighted to hand over to the experts, Sylvie and James, who will take you through this IONIQ 5 experience. So enjoy the journey.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon. My name is Sylvie Charles, and I'm IONIQ 5 Senior Product Manager.
Hello, my name is James Batchelor, and I'm a journalist working with the IONIQ 5 product team.
Right, over the next 20 minutes, we'll take time to talk about the design in and out of the car and the inspirations behind it. We will also talk a little bit further about this new, brand new platform the car is built on and what that means in terms of powertrain, in terms of charging, and in terms of space. We will also, of course, talk about the high-tech features available on IONIQ 5.
We'll, of course, talk in detail about charging and range. We'll explain powertrains, drive and trim and options, and share those all-important performance details.
Okay, well, first, let's state the obvious. IONIQ 5 doesn't look like anything else in the market. It doesn't look like any other Hyundai. It does stand out. Well, it's not actually true it doesn't look like any other Hyundai, because it really has been inspired by our very first passenger car, the Pony Coupe, which we launched in 1974. And this car, the Pony, really defined our way of shaping the future and define our DNA. Today, we are launching IONIQ 5, or we're showcasing IONIQ 5 to you, and this is redefining our DNA in a crossover of the future.
Now, Hyundai wanted this car to break the mould and to push the boundaries of design. Hyundai wanted a sporty and pure silhouette that could be drawn with just a couple of lines. Now, Hyundai wanted it to be instantly recognisable and stand out in a crowd. Because, unlike other electric cars that share their platforms with other combustion-engined cars, IONIQ 5 is unconstrained from many of the design considerations that apply to traditional cars. And it shows. It's why the traditional grille, now liberated from being just a cooling function, is now a digital sensor zone. It's why the V-shaped bumper has been designed for maximum aero efficiency. And from the moment you first look at IONIQ 5 with its Hyundai's first ever clamshell bonnet, the pixel lights at the front here, and what Hyundai calls parametric design, where computers help to break the rules of what a car might look like, the IONIQ 5 is characterised by sleek and sharp lines. It's almost geometric and minimalist in appearance.
So let's have a look at IONIQ 5 from the side and its sporty appearance, and how has this been made possible. So with a unique platform which is dedicated to battery electric cars, it's given us a lot of freedom in terms of design. And first and foremost, we have a 3-meter wheelbase. So that's really large, with very small overhang at the front and at the rear, giving that sportiness in terms of look and design, and also that dynamic stance on the road. Then you have the door handles, they're flush door handles, to keep the shape as pure as possible. In terms of design, we also have the 20-inch diamond-cut alloy wheels with a very attractive fractal design. They don't only look good, they're also aerodynamic to make sure that the car is as efficient as possible. We have all these lines on the side that we call parametrics dynamics, and they link the front with the back in a forward movement, which further links with a 45-degree angle C-pillar, giving that sporty look and compact look of the car.
Now, at the rear, the sporting cues really do continue. That C-pillar that Sylvie mentioned, it slopes inwards at an angle. There's a short hood line and a rear spoiler that really add to the IONIQ 5's sporty sensibilities. Now, you might also notice what isn't here. There isn't a rear wiper. The rear spoiler has been designed to dissipate rainwater as much as possible. The rear screen is also, it maximises rear visibility as well. Now, the cutting-edge parametric lights here, they are repeated at the back, and it's a design feature you're going to see inside and out. The charging port is located on the right-hand side. It's neatly hidden and doesn't interrupt the overall look and lines of the car.
Okay, while we are at the back of the car, let's talk about the boot space. So with this dedicated platform, what we've been able to do is push the car wheels to each corner, giving that long wheelbase an important interior space. So James, would you like to do the honour and illustrate how much the boot can contain?
Absolutely.
So you have the smart tailgate. So you can see you have a large suitcase that can fit here, and James will grab a buggy or that fits very well. And while James is doing this, the capacity of the boot is 527 litres. If you were to fold forward the rear seats, then you will get 1,587 litres. So there's plenty of space. In terms of versatility, you have a 40-60 split when you fold forward, and the rear seats can also slide. And on the top trim, these are powered as part of the option pack. There is extra storage at the front of the car. As we remove the combustion engine, we created space, and there is a little storage unit at the front trunk, so with the front boot, so the fruit for some people. That can contain your charging cables, 27 litres in a four-wheel drive version of IONIQ 5, is 54 litres on the two-wheel drive version of the car. So there is plenty of space for all the kit one could think of, including golf clubs. And what we can do now is, what does this mean for passenger space? So let's have a look inside how it feels, James.
Now, the 3-metre wheelbase means that the IONIQ 5 has the spaciousness of a large car in a mid-sized CUV. Now, rather than think of this car having a conventional car interior, the designers have used as a starting point the idea of a smart living space. Now, for starters, it has a completely flat floor, which makes it feel spacious, and there is plenty of rear legroom. Now, I am 5'11", and there is tons of space back here, loads of legroom, loads of headroom, loads of space to move around. Now, move is actually a key word, because these seats, they slide backwards and forwards. If you slide them forwards, you liberate more space in the boot. You slide them backwards to get more rear legroom. And on the Ultimate model with the Tech Pack, they electrically slide as well. Now, all IONIQs get the Universal Island. It's a storage system with a fast wireless charging pad for your smartphone. There are cup holders and USB-A charging ports there as well. On the top spec cars, it slides backwards and forwards as well. Now, if all of this sounds like a living room, well, that is intentional, because Hyundai have deliberately designed it like that so the driver and the passengers can design the space just as they choose.
So there are other convention braking features available on the car. As I've mentioned before, being a battery electric car, there is a lot of space that's been freed up. So what we have been able to do is take out of the cabin the heating and cooling components into much forward. So we have a very slim cockpit, which gives an extra space for the front passengers. If we switch to the seats have been imagined more as some interior space, so they've been slimmed down. They're thinner, creating space, but it's also removing weight, which means it will improve the efficiency of the car. Those particular seats you can see here with the front, with some extra support for the legs, can be fully reclined, and they're available on the option pack, the Tech Pack, which means that you can have a power nap while you charge your car, etc. Yes. In terms of heating, I've mentioned that we've moved out of the cabin, the components for heating, but there's everything about heating and ventilation. So steering wheel, heated steering wheel and heated seats at standard from mid-trim onwards. And then on the top trim, you have ventilated front seats and heated rear seats as well. So you have everything you need in terms of comfort. In terms of how you would set the heating, you can use the touchscreen, and you can also use the dynamic voice recognition to set the temperatures of those features as you wish. So this, as James has mentioned, is more like a living space. It is more how you would do your own space at home. So it's less about convention and more about personal settings.
Now, One thing you do expect when you're at home is connectivity, and IONIQ 5 on the move is no different. This car is absolutely packed with high-tech features, putting all the information you need at your fingertips. Now, when you first get into this car, there is a fantastic blend of analog and digital systems in here. Now, all controls are close to hand, from the start-stop button there to the paddles behind the steering wheel. Now, these paddles actually control the level of brake regeneration. On the higher setting, level 4, the I pedal is actually engaged. And what that does, it allows you to take your foot off the accelerator and the car comes to a complete halt. It is fantastic for city driving. There's also the column-mounted gear shifter here. It gives you intuitive, easy access to the drive, neutral, park and reverse. And it also looks absolutely fantastic as well, doesn't it? Really nice piece of design. Now, let me just switch the car on so you can see the screens in front of me. Now, to the left, I've got a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster. To the right, I've got a 12.3-inch infotainment system as well. Now, Bluetooth multi-link connection features across the range. It allows multiple devices to be connected to it, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto come as standard as well. Now, every model comes with the latest version of BlueLink connectivity, or connected car services, which enables you to control many aspects of the car through your smartphone. Now, the BlueLink app displays the vehicle's range, the battery state and the charging times when the car is plugged into a home wall box or a public charging point. The remote charging feature means that you can stop and start the charging straight from your smartphone. Very, very clever, that. And you can schedule charging too and set the temperature so that on a cold morning, for example, when you get into the car, it's nice and warm. Now, the new cloud-based connected routing feature is particularly useful for the IONIQ 5. The database has been improved to show more charging stations, availability, and mirrors the network that's already available on the Charge My Hyundai app. More about charging a little bit later on. Now, it also uses AI to learn your most frequent routes, and the system includes last mile navigation, which you can continue route guidance on your smartphone if you've parked up and you have to continue the rest of your journey on foot.
Okay, as mentioned, James has mentioned a lot of features in terms of connectivity and clever tech. But what is IONIQ 5 like in terms of comfort features, and how does it feel? So let's have a look inside. We have ambient lighting standard across the range. And then on the top range, you also have the Bose premium speakers, 7 speakers and 1 large subwoofer that gives you that really rich acoustic experience. And the materials in IONIQ 5 don't just look good, they also feel very good. You've got nice soft touch here on the armrest, and they don't only serve a purpose, they are being developed as eco-friendly materials. So here we have on the side panel 100% recyclable material. In the upholstery, we have eco-processed front-facing leather. In the carpets, we also have sugarcane used in the material. For the textile part of the seats, we also use crushed recycled PET bottles. So we have developed new technologies to use different materials to lower CO2 emissions. And even on the exterior paint, in terms of treatment of the paint, rather than using petroleum-based products, we're using additive based on rapeseed. So the car doesn't only look good and feel good, it really reinforces our commitment to sustainable motoring.
Now, welcome back to the front. Didn't I say there was an awful lot to talk about? Well, let's now talk about safety. The IONIQ 5 is based on the eGMP platform. It is ultra strong, and in the event of an impact, energy is dissipated around the car away from the occupants inside. Now, this car is also packed with what Hyundai calls smart sense safety technology. A lot of these features you will be already familiar with, but there are some new and exciting ones to prevent any such danger happening in the first place. Now, for the first time in a Hyundai, ultimate versions of IONIQ 5 features a 44-inch head-up display, effectively turning your windscreen into a giant display screen. Now, it's augmented reality, and it provides a huge amount of driver assist information and safety-related warnings, either in AR or in normal mode, based on your preference. Added to this is a comprehensive suite of safety systems. Now, new IONIQ 5 is the next level version, well, it has the next level version of highway driving assist. Again, you'll be familiar with this. It keeps a distance, a safe distance between you and the car in front on the motorway. But new for IONIQ 5, it actually automatically and safely changes lane for you when you flick on the indicator. There are basically systems for everything in here, from helping you spot smaller road users such as cyclists and where the car can intervene if necessary, to navigation-based cruise control, where the car automatically decelerates to slow the car below the speed limit when it detects a speed zone ahead. Now, opt for the tech pack, and there's even more, including a surround view monitor, which is particularly useful when parking, and there's a blind spot view monitor, which displays a video of the blind spot when you, in the instrument cluster in front of you when you switch on the indicator. I mean, there is safety systems galore in here.
Wow, so IONIQ 5 is packed with safety features, and it's also packed with a lot of comfort features. And you're going to say, well, what is it like to live with, or what is it like to be with the IONIQ on a day-to-day basis, and how is it to drive? IONIQ 5 is a rear-wheel drive vehicle. It's available in 2 different battery sizes. So it's available in a 58 kilowatt-hour battery, standard range, and then the long range, the 73 kilowatt-hour battery. The 73 kilowatt-hour battery comes as a 2-wheel drive, but also as a 4-wheel drive. So let's talk about the electric motor. The electric motor that is based between the rear wheels is 155 kilowatt. And on the 4-wheel drive, you have an extra electric motor at the front, and that one is 70 kilowatt. And together, they provide 605 Newton meters of torque. So that's a lot of power. And you're going to say, okay, it's all well and good, but what is the range? So how far can I travel? So the 73 kilowatt hour, which we feel will be the best-selling battery, will be 300 miles in the WLTP test. And then for the, excuse me, the 58 kilowatt hour has a range of 240. For those of you who have been having electric cars on your fleet, you will know and you'll be comfortable with that range, because if we look at the statistics for the last 12 months in the UK, or for 12 months in the UK pre-pandemic, sorry, the range, the annual range is under 7,000 miles. And that means on a weekly basis is 134 miles. So with a 240-mile range, you've got plenty. For those who need to travel further afield, well, you can travel from where we are in South London all the way to Newquay on a charge. If you need to charge, and this is where IONIQ 5 comes in its own, it's absolutely amazing technology. It has an 800-volt capable onboard charger, and that speeds up all the charging sessions. So what it means is you can charge IONIQ 5 10% to 80% in just under 18 minutes. In 5 minutes, that's 60 miles that it gives you extra. And this 800-volt onboard charger is a world first in a mainstream vehicle. So you have choices to charge IONIQ 5. What we recommend is to have a wall box at home or in the office and to charge the car when it's not being used. When you are out and about, you have access to the DC chargers from 50 kilowatt to 350 kilowatts. And for those who at times don't have access to either the high-power public network or charging at home, we have an emergency cable. There's a 3-pin, the granny cable, that is also available. And IONIQ 5 is supplied with both the Type 2 connector and the granny cable.
Now, Hyundai is leading the way in its commitment to electric vehicles, not just by demonstrating the fast charging capabilities of its cars, but also in the investment it's making in infrastructure. Now, Hyundai Motor Group recently became the latest shareholder to join IONIQ. It's a joint venture that builds and operates high-power 350 kilowatt charging points across Europe. Now, access to this network will be integrated into Hyundai's new pan-European public charging service called Charge My Hyundai. All of this means that IONIQ 5 drivers will have access to the best and fastest charging experiences in Europe and will have access to over 170,000 charging points, 15,000 of which are in the UK. Now, thanks to the Charge My Hyundai app, you can pay for charging at different charging points without needing to set up an account with every single one. Great feature, that. And of course, you can find all of these stations really easily in the sat-nav system.
All this talk of powering, there are more surprises with IONIQ 5. Our unique feature, the vehicle to load. What it means is with this car, you can actually charge a laptop by using a domestic 3-plug, but you could also charge another vehicle. So how does it work? So here we have, in between the rear seats, we have a 3-pin plug. So you can do, as I've just said, you can do a laptop, but for people who use for leisure, for camping, you could imagine that you could put your kettle there, make a cup of tea when you're out and about. When you use the exterior port, you have an adapter. And with the adapter, you can actually connect the 3-pin plug and then charge another electric car, trickle charge. That's pretty amazing. The way it works is it's taking the power from the high voltage battery and it will just use that power. What you're going to say is you don't want to deplete the range by using the high voltage battery, but you can set the levels you're happy to share and to spare with those. And it's all about efficiency at the end of the day. And IONIQ 5 is class-leading efficiency. It achieves 16.8 kilowatt-hour per 100 kilometers. So for a car this size, it's absolutely amazing. So there's a lot of statistics, but all we want to do is just showcase how much we can achieve in terms of charging and range.
So IONIQ 5 has the convenience features, the super fast charging and the range to take you to places in comfort and with confidence. And if it's performance you're after, well, it has that too. If range performance is your priority, the 73 kilowatt-hour two-wheel drive has a respectable 0 to 62 mile-an-hour acceleration time of 7.4 seconds. If you want range and an impressive sprint, then the 73 kilowatt-hour all-wheel drive is the one for you. It takes just 5.2 seconds to get to 62 miles an hour. As we know, driving performance is more than about speed and acceleration. You may need your car to have the pulling power too. The larger battery IONIQ 5 has a braked towing capacity of 1,600 kilograms. And when you're using trailer mode, the car takes into account the weight of the load and recalculates the electric range accordingly. Now, there are 3 trim levels: SE Connect, Premium and Ultimate. There are V2L and Tech and Eco packs. And there are 9 exterior colours in a variety of finishes, including matte, metallic and solid. There are also 2 colour options as well, and which basically means the choice is yours.
So all these features, all this technology is the culmination of years of research and development. And IONIQ 5 brings all of this together to bring you the most eco-friendly vehicle in our range. Thank you for giving us some availability so we could share the IONIQ 5 story.
It just leaves me to say from Sylvie, Tim and myself, thank you very much for watching and see you soon.
Thank you.